Yes?
Can I ask a question, because I think people are reading, I don't know, maybe the red tide or
I can't hear you. Did you write your question on
the audience? I have a question. We need to defeat.
I cannot take your question verbally. If you can write it on an index card, can someone give an index card to her while we answer the next question? I'd be glad to discuss your question if you'll write it down.
I'm sorry, I have to leave because of the red tide, but
Okay.
basically, how do we defeat
The next, while we get to that, would you discuss, starting with Wesley, the proposed road swap between River Road and Siesta Key,
That
please?
is, yes. River Road is so far behind where it needs to be. It is a major evacuation route for tens of thousands of people. It is absurd that we have let it go on this long. And so they did do that road swap, so that the midnight pass, and so we swapped it between the county and the state. And now it's finalized, and I gather, my understanding is it really was the last time the state was going to come to us for that. So we kind of kicked the can around with that road swap for a while. The county doesn't have the funds to really expand River Road as it needs to, because it is an absolute health risk. If another Irma comes through and all of those people need to evacuate, it's impossible to get that many people out. And it's a real shame, because the county did have the money, and then Benderson put in UTC, and then of course we needed that diversion diamond and all this. So they rerouted all of that money, which should have gone towards a health and safety risk, up to deal with yet another Benderson debacle. So I think it's what needed to happen, and I know there are some concerns specifically about the Siesta Promenade being at the end. I live right next to Clark and 41, and the traffic is already so horrible. And I would love to have FDOT oversee a lot of those changes and make sure that we're having state accountability when we're going through this whole nonsense with Siesta Promenade, which is just a ridiculous notion to be putting that on that corner with an increased density. So I think it's what needed to happen. It's not a perfect deal, but if it was an issue being forced, we desperately need to expand River Road for the safety of those folks down there. So it happened, and again, if it needed to, we backed ourselves into a corner, and that's the deal we got stuck with. So.
Would you mind, please?
I disagree completely with the notion of the road swap. Essentially, with respect to the Benderson debacle at Stickney Point in 41, that intersection was already rated as a D. The Benderson development would make it an F, and the state couldn't allow that to happen. So the reasoning behind changing that Stickney Point road from a state road to a county road is to avoid the state mandated regulations that would pertain to that road. And I don't know what that has to do with River Road in Inglewood. Personally, I just don't make that connection. When I think about Stickney Point Road, I mean, it was a cow trail and a horse trail, and then it was a single lane road, and then it was a double lane road, and then it was a 4-lane road, and now it's an 8-lane road. It should be headed towards becoming a federal road. And all of a sudden we're reversing track. I don't know if there's ever been a situation where we've turned a state road back into a county road. I think that's rather unique in that regard. With respect to River Road, I concur with Ms. Baggs. Traffic on that road is absolutely hazardous and dangerous. And what we do, like we consistently do, is we put the cart before the horse. We punch Center Road and Venice Avenue through. We let all these subdivisions get built. We punch them through to River Road so that they have the legally mandated hurricane evacuation route. But we haven't done anything to River Road. So what we need to do is, whether it's county funding, state funding, or a combination of the two, we need to do that. But I don't see how that gets related to Stickney Point Road.
I agree with Mike. The reason why the real switch was so that the state, who has been asking questions about the Benderson project, gets taken off the project. So I think that's a real reason. The River Road desperately needs to be repaired, and there were so many missed opportunities. When the county when UTC was being built and they shifted not so much the diverging diamond, but the money for Cattleman Road, to expand Cattleman Road, and instead of using that money for River Road. And the other opportunities was when they decided to improve Siesta Beach in 2012, a year after it really won #1 beach looking like it was. The money that they spent on Siesta Beach could have been used for River Road because it came from our surtax, not the tourist tax, which could have been used for roads. So there were missed opportunities where the county ignored River Road, and now we got to a point that we hope FDOT has the money because they're bureaucrats. They're not elected officials. They claim they have $24 million that they can give for River Road in about 4 years, but they're bureaucrats. And when the time comes and there's no money, they're not elected officials. They are not accountable to us. So we kind of have to hope River Road has that money in the long run, but I don't have a lot of faith. But I think in the long run, it really was all about making sure Benderson doesn't have those questions asked again by the state.
Keep the microphone. I did get the question that the woman in the audience wanted to ask, and I'd like to answer it. Her question was, how do we defeat Mayo? Well, the way you defeat Mayo is to vote him out of office. And you're the solution, not the candidates. The candidates are doing their very best in order to become elected. Now you can support them, you can talk to your neighbors about the election, you can stress the importance of this primary election, because these candidates' career as a candidate is going to be decided here in this primary election. It's very important. I only received one other question from the audience, and it relates to a City of Sarasota issue regarding sidewalks and schools. So I'm not going to put it to our candidates for the county. I'd like the candidates now to make their final statement, say who you are, the race you're running in, and however you would like to characterize your objectives and what you would like to work toward as a commissioner.
Again, my name is Laurie Spirits. I'm running in the Republican primary on August 28th. I hope you vote for me. All my information is on www.electlourdesramirez.com. I did put together, and you'll see on the chairs and also on the table over there, a comparison between me and my opponent, Al Mayo. Just clearly, I'm trying to be factual, what his voting record is. I think he has a terrible voting record. I hear from, just to give you an idea, we have people like Nokomis, Siesta Key, Gulf Gates, the Celery Fields, the Grand Lakes. There's so many communities who are upset with his voting record. But we need to talk outside of our communities, talk to neighbors down south and say, just be careful. We want to make sure that we have citizens represented in the Second County Commission, and I am going to be there for you. I've been doing this for 20 years. I was president of Cona for a few years, and I've always looked out for the neighborhoods. A lot of you know me and know that I've always looked for the neighborhoods. So again, vote for me, spread the word, let people know to vote for me as well. Thank you.
Unless Lourdes tells me to shut up, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes just about, is this working?
Yes.
So there was a gentleman by the name of Bob Wachter.
Just up there.
I'm doing my best. There was a guy named Bob Wachter. He was the president of the Sarasota County Republican Party. When Lourdes ran last time, he actually went and bought a credit card, made donations to Democrats in Lourdes' name, and then called the paper and said, hey, this Republican's making donations to Democrats. He's actually feloniously charged with that. He didn't go to jail. He got to stay at home for a couple years with an ankle bracelet. I've worked with Lourdes for years on Siesta Key issues. She works her butt off for the community. She always has. She would be an amazing improvement over Al Mayo. My Democratic opponent, Wesley Baggs, she's young, she's bright, she's hardworking, she's intelligent, she's organized, she's put together a great campaign. She would also be an incredible improvement over Al Mayo. I think coming from the building community, being born and raised in Sarasota, I have a lot of relationships in town that I think would help me be a better candidate than Al Mayo. The thing, and I talked to both of these ladies months ago, I said, what we need to do is sign, kind of like Reagan in the 80s, an ABM treaty, only this time it's anybody but Mayo. I think that we really appreciate you guys coming out and listening to us. And, you know, obviously you have some decisions to make. And really, anybody but Mayo is going to give you a better situation than what you currently have. Thank you.
So to recap, my name is Wesley Baggs, and I hopefully will be the Democratic challenger to whoever makes it out of the Republican primary. I am running to represent the people of this county that value environmental protection, affordable housing, and sustainable development, not build it first, plan it second, which seems to be the mantra of Sarasota County. And I'll just wrap up with the question that was handed, how do we beat Mayo? We beat him with momentum, and that's what my campaign has. We have local, state, and even national endorsements. We have dozens of volunteers every single week connecting with voters. We are knocking on more doors, we are calling more people, and we are going to turn out more voters. And that's what it's going to take. We beat big money with big organizing. And that's what my campaign is formed around. Some really phenomenally dedicated volunteers that are just as angry as everyone in this room is. And that's how we win. So go, as I said, I'm not a teacher, but I'm going to give everyone in this room a little bit of homework. Talk to 5 people, whoever they are. It's your tennis club, your bridge club, your brother, whoever it is. Talk to 5 people and just ask them, did you know? Did you know that your county commission is doing this? Because odds are, in some cases, they don't know. There's so much attention on DC and Tallahassee and who's tweeting what that we are losing sight of what is happening in our community. And we cannot expect anything at the higher levels of government to improve if we cannot take care of our own neighbors. And that's where it starts. So go have those conversations, tell those people, and vote your conscience. So thank you all so much for coming out.
And tell them to vote. That's the other thing. You have to make sure your neighbors and your friends and your family vote in this election. I want to thank you all for, first of all, for running in this election and being candidates, and for participating tonight. Thank you.